afternoon. Welcome to Ebo Media. This is News at Noon. I'm Olatunde Akinsoga. And here are the headlines. Governors making concerted efforts to destroy democracy, says Bala. Avoid smoking overloading. CNG tricycle operators warned. Fuel import resettling out of court with NNPC orders, Dangote says. Crowds turn out to see King Charles at Sydney Opera House. With post-tides, U.S. election campaigns targets overseas voters. On the flag, relief efforts underway, decries indiscriminate waste disposal. News and details. Governors making concerted efforts to destroy democracy, says Bala. A lawyer denied Daniel Bala has accused governors of attempting to destroy the country's democracy. 16 state governments had filed a suit at the Supreme Court to challenge the legality of the establishment of the country's anti-graft agency, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. Bala, a former member of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), believes the move signals the governor's plans to frustrate democracy in the country. The governors in Nigeria, they are making concerted efforts to destroy this democracy, he said on Tuesday edition of Channels Television's The Morning Brief. He said governors have not done much in developing the states and have pushed the responsibilities of governance to the federal government. Avoid smoking overloading. CNG tricycle operators warned. The Tricycle Owners and Operators Association of Nigeria, Lagos State Chapter, says it is educating its members about the benefits and dangers of using compressed natural gas. Its zonal chairman Alhaji Aziza Jabbar, in an interview with the News Agency of Nigeria on Tuesday in Lagos, said this would help members take precautionary measures during their operations. NAN reports that the National Union of Road Transport Workers, Lagos State Chapter, on October 16 unveiled its first 3,000 CNG commercial tricycle worth 10.2 billion naira to ease transport challenges. Mr. Jabbar said, though there are economic advantages in converting petrol tricycles to gas, there are precautionary measures needed to be put in place to operate effectively. At first instance, operators must not smoke or operate in a naked fire environment. Smoking is highly prohibited while operating CNG tricycles because anything gas is highly inflammable. The union leader also urged members to avoid overloading their tricycles, urging them to always maintain 3 passengers at a trip. Fuel import was settling out of court with NNPC orders, Dangote. Dangote Refinery and Petrochemical said yesterday it was settling out of court with the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, and 6 others over import licenses granted by the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA, to import petrol into the country. Recall that the company had approached the Federal High Court in Abuja, praying it to nullify the licenses and also won its 100 billion naira damages against the first defendant, which is the NNPCL. However, in a statement last night, Dangote said it was ready to settle the case amicably with NNPCL and other defendants in what it described as an old case filed in June. The statement signed by the group Chief Branding and Communications Officer Anthony Chiejineri. This is an old issue that started in June and culminated in a matter filed on September 6, 2024. Currently, the parties are in discussion since President Bola Tinubu's directive on crude oil and refined product sales in Nigeria initiative, which the Federal Executive Council (FEC) approved. We have made tremendous progress in that regard, and events have overtaken this development. No party has been served with court processes, and there's no intention of doing so. We have agreed to put a halt to the proceedings. It is important to stress that no orders have been made and there are no adverse effects on any party. We understand that once the matter comes up in January 2025, we will be in a position to formally withdraw the matter in court. Crowds turned out to see King Charles at Sydney Opera House. Britain's King Charles was impressed by an indigenous elder after a welcome smoking ceremony on Tuesday in the birthplace of Australia's urban Aboriginal civil rights movement in Sydney, a day after being heckled by an indigenous senator in Canberra. Charles met indigenous elders at the National Centre of Indigenous Excellence in inner city Redfern, where he was embraced by Elder Michael Welch and a woman introduced herself as a member of the Stoning generation, in reference to Aboriginal children systematically removed from their families decades earlier. Welcome to this country, she said. A day earlier, Charles was echoed at Parliament House in Canberra by independent senator and indigenous activist Lydia Thorpe, who shouted that she did not accept his sovereignty over Australia and demanded a treaty for indigenous people. The fallout from Thorpe's outburst has been mixed, with some calling her brave and others disagreeing with her approach to reconciliation, but it has put a fresh spotlight on Australia's colonial history and its relationship with indigenous peoples. With pulse tight, US election campaigns target overseas voters. Bob Valia, a Paris resident who has mostly lived outside the United States for the past 30 years, has already voted in his own state of Michigan for the November 5 election. I know that whatever happens in America affects the rest of the world. I know this because I've lived in the rest of the world, said Valia, the LGBTQ plus caucus chair for Democrats abroad. Valia's vote and the ballots of other Americans overseas may be crucial in the tight races of battleground states like his. Michigan is one of the election's most competitive states, with latest polls showing Democratic candidate Kamala Harris holding a slight edge over Republican rival Donald Trump. The Democratic National Committee estimates that 1.6 million U.S. voters abroad are eligible to vote in one of the 7 so-called swing states: Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, that will likely determine the outcome of the election. The group is believed to favor Democrats. Among people who used to vote from abroad, a non-partisan voter support tool linked to the DNC, 3/4 of overseas voters in the 2020 election said they were Democrats. On the flood relief efforts underway, the crisis indiscriminate waste disposal following the recent devastating floods that destroyed property worth millions of naira and left many homeless in Ondo. The Ondo state government has assured the public that necessary measures are being implemented to make flooding a thing of the past in the Sunshine State. The state government has also pledged support for flood victims through the provision of relief materials. Speaking with the Commissioner for Environment, Oyini Oseni, disclosed that the government is implementing measures to ensure effective monitoring and deployment of essential equipment to the affected areas. After the post-assessment of the situation, we immediately relocated the swamp buggy to reposition it, after which we commenced stretching the leg-to-link river. This work is in progress and the community is pleased with the prompt government intervention, is stressed. Oseni reiterated the government's commitment to making the town flooded-free, stating, "We also monitored the location where we had a casualty and reaffirmed that what needed to be done there." In explaining that Ore is also receiving government attention in this regard, which according to him has prevented flooding in the town. The commissioner hinted that efforts are underway to prevent future occurrences, stating that essential knowledge is being imparted to the people to prepare for any rainfall before the end of this year. It will be recalled that the state government Lucky Aiyedatiwa led officials from the National Emergency Management Agency (NEMA), headed by the Director General Zubaida Umar, to visit the affected areas. Should you just joining us, welcome to Ebo Media. This is News at Noon. You can reach us on all our social media handles on Facebook, Ebo Media, on TikTok, Ebo.media, on Instagram at Ebo.media, and on YouTube at Ebo_media_22. We're located at First Jai Avenue, opposite Glorified Nursery Primary School, Ilaloji in Ondo State. And you can reach us on our phone number for advice and bookings, 0705330278. Before we end the news, the recap of the stories. Governors making concerted efforts to destroy democracy, says Paula. Avoid smoking, overloading, compressed natural gas, CNG, tricycle operators warned. For imports, we are settling out of court with NNPC, others, Dangote. Crowds turn out to seeking Charles at Sydney Opera House. With polls tight, U.S. election campaigns target overseas voters. On the flood relief efforts on the way, the crisis indiscriminate waste disposal. This is the end of the news for today. You can join us on this same station, same time, for another edition of News at Noon tomorrow. And this news was edited by Chanel Akintunde and produced by Olushola Ayodele Onitemi. I'm Oladwina Kesoba. Do have a lovely day. Bye.